Jesus, have I really been doing this for 3 years now? My God. A lot has changed over those years. A lot. Well, enough about that. Oh, I'm 3 years old. Big flippin' deal. Let's talk about something more important. Medieval talking mice and how they made me into a furry. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, my name is David Popovich, aka the Bookworm, and welcome to Bookworm Reviews. Sit back and relax as we dive into Redwall, Book 1 of Redwall by Brian Jacques. 面白くない世の中面白くすればいいさ There are many things you'll hear repeated a lot about the fandom, from how conventions work with charities to the fandom being a generally open space for all walks of life. And one of the biggest ones is that there is no headcanon in the fandom. Other fandoms do. Sci-fi has the likes of Star Trek and Wars, fantasy has Lord of the Rings, comics DC and Marvel, anime, you get the point. The same can't be said for furries though. There is no single or even multiple works that really define what the furry fandom is. There are standouts like Disney and Looney Tunes, and trust me, the release of the greatest movie ever made is going to be a major influence to a whole generation. But they never define what the fandom is, unlike the others stated. The fandom is defined by itself from a shared collective interest in a style some found in art, music, dance, games, show, all of which just kind of mix together to form something that's weird on the outside, but to many is beautiful on the inside. Oh God, even I can smell the cheese from here. And for many, there is that one piece of media that just captured our attention and made us who we are today. And for me, it was a little TV show on PBS I caught during a summer's afternoon. Oh God. Nostalgia? My name is Redwall. Redwall, over all others, is the show that most likely made me a furry, even when I had no idea that furries existed. I became obsessed with the show. The whole concept of having animals acting like humans just fired my brain away with the imagination behind it. And of course, I later learned it was based on a book. A whole series of books. As a middle schooler, I had found paradise. I could talk for hours about this franchise, but there's only so much time. So right now, let's just focus on the book that started it all. What is this children's fantasy book even about? Well, it focuses on Redwall Abbey. Well, duh. A place of peace and harmony, ruled mainly by an order of mice. I'll let them explain. All the mice took a solemn vow never to harm another living creature, unless it was an enemy that sought to harm our order by violence. They vowed to heal the sick, care for the injured, and give aid to the wretched and impoverished. So was it written, and so has it been through all the ages of mousekind since. One of those mice is a young novice named Matthias, a good-natured boy, but whose heart does not match in tone with Redwall's order. His spirit is more in tune with the heroic founder of the abbey, Martin the Warrior. "Oh, Father Abbot," he sighed, "if only I could be like Martin the Warrior. He was the bravest, most courageous mouse that ever lived." But, poor Matthias, alas for your ambitions. The day of the warrior is gone, my son. We live in peaceful times, thank heaven, and you need only think of obeying me, your abbot, and doing as you are bidden. The only thing they have to worry about is their latest festival welcoming the summer of the late rose. But what they don't know is that something wicked this way comes. A rat. The biggest, most savage rodent that ever jumped from ship to shore. He was black, with gray and pink scars all over his huge, slick body, from the tip of his wet nose up past his green and yellow slitted eyes, across both his mean tattered ears, down the length of his heavy vermin-ridden back, to the enormous whip-like tail, which had earned him the title, Clooney the Scourge. And Clooney the Scourge has one goal: to take over the Abbey and all the riches within. Of course, like any ruler, he reads the inhabitants his terms as his slaves. 1. Surrender will be total and unconditional. 2. Clooney will execute the leaders of all who choose to oppose him. 3. All property conquered will belong solely to Clooney the Scourge. But Matthias and the rest of the Abbey won't stand by for it. They will defend their Abbey with their very lives. Then die, all of you! Every male, female, and young one. You have refused my terms. Now you will suffer the punishment of Clooney. You will beg on your knees for death to come swiftly. But I shall make your torment loud and long before you die! The Abbey is now at war, and Matthias' warrior spirit starts to take center stage. But how can he? He's not like Martin the warrior. His people were never meant for war. Oh, Martin, what would you have done in my place? I know that I'm only a young mouse, a novice, not even a proper Redwall member yet. But once you were young too. I know what you would have done. But alas, those days are gone. I have no magic sword to aid me, only the advice of my elders and betters, to which I must listen. And things take a turn for the worse when Clooney steals their sacred picture of Martin from their tapestry. Did you not see the faces of those mice today? The mere mention of Martin the warrior sends them into ecstasy. Don't you see? He is their symbol. Think for a moment. If anything were to happen to me, you'd all be a leaderless rabble, a headless mob. So if the mice were to lose their precious omen, the picture of Martin, where would that leave them? God, that hurts the throat. However, the removal of his image reveals a secret poem that goes as so. Who says that I am dead knows naught at all. I am that is. 2 mice within Redwall. The warrior sleeps twixt hall and cavern hole. I am that is. Take on my mighty role. Look for the sword in moonlight streaming forth. At night when day's first hour reflects the north. From over the threshold seek and you will see. I am that is. My sword will wield for me. They figure out that I am that is actually an anagram for Matthias, which means he's either a lost descent, reincarnated, prophesized. The book never gives a clear answer, but it will lead Matthias on a journey to find Martin's infinite sword to help end Clooney's raid on Redwall. And that's the story. And standard young boy's called to become a hero. He meets some colorful characters, faces some terrible dangers, grow, learn, save the day. It's not really much of an original concept. It's actually pretty simple. There's nothing about the story or characters that stand out. Most are actually fairly flat, and while there is a narrative through line, the plot just kind of wanders sometimes, leading to different locations to meet different characters over the course of the book. I'm making this sound like it's a bad book. Or at least a shallow book, and some people will see that. I began seeing that reading this story again, but it got me to think of something. This book is almost like The Wizard of Oz. No, really. Loose structure, simple characters connected with bare basic needs, and yet that worked in the story's favor. And the same happens here. Brian Jacques wrote the book by accident when he wanted to tell a children's story for the Royal Wavertree School for the Blind. He was sick and tired of the adolescent angst dominating the genre and wanted to write something with a bit of magic. And it shows, and it's why I love the series. There's just an air of joy in the whole thing, a sense of adventure, a sense of morale, a sense that all the food there is bloody amazing. Tender freshwater shrimp garnished with cream and rose leaves, deviled barley pearls and acorn puree, apple and carrot chews, marinated cabbage stalks steeped in cream white turnip with nutmeg. Oh my God, I want it now. A sense that this is something different, even though it's a story we've heard many times. While a lot of the characters can be considered flat, there are a lot that stand out because of it. I still remember characters like Matthias, Clooney, Basil. Oh God, how I love Basil. What? Cornflower, Constance, Formol, Logalog. They were flat, but memorable because of it. And even when I was looking at the book more cynically, by the end, I had a smile on my face. Maybe it's the nostalgia talking, but Redwall gets a huge recommendation from me. It may not be for everyone, but there is something special in this book. A classic notion of bravery and courage to fight intolerance and fear. It really does mean a lot to me, and hopefully it will mean a lot to you too. Flaws and all. Wait till I get to the 21 other books though. Oh boy! What about you, Internet? What's your opinion about Redwall? If you have a book you would like me to review, let me know in the comments below. I'll be gone for 2 weeks, but don't worry, for June is Pride Month, and we're going to kick that baby off with one of the most topical subjects. Till next time, Have a nice day!